We make that point because it's a balanced set of data. It's, it's reaction, it's learning, application, impact, ROI, and intangibles. It's both financial, non-financial, quantitative, qualitative, taken at different time frames. It fits a lot of our new definition of value there. So we want to make sure that you understood that quite well. Number two, false. That'd be 100%. Again, we make that point because we don't take the benefit cost ratio and multiply it times 100 and put a percentage on it because it's not ROI, and the finance and accounting people will be the first ones to tell us that. Number three, true. That's what we'd like for you to do. Our last benchmarking had that as the number one reason why we're doing this. I suspect benchmarking today might show that the number one reason is the budget's concerns. But it's to improve things, make them better. Yes?
I disagree. I mean, how is it improving the process? It gives you an idea of whether or not it's doing what you're hoping it would do.
Yes.
It doesn't improve the process.
Well, again, we didn't get to go through all the details, but we collect data about what's not working and what's working. That a huge amount of data, particularly at level 3 on application, we get into the barriers. If you're not using the program the way you should, you're not using the skills, why? What are the barriers, the impediments, the obstacles? Those are things that we can change or improve. We also look at the enablers, the things that's helped us, and we use them to make it better. So yes, although we didn't discuss it very clearly, we want to go into this to make improvements, to make things better. And we make that point because even with your own team and own staff, we find a huge fear of ROI. That's our greatest barrier to implementing this. People are afraid of a negative value. So we have to ask the organizations when they implement this, would you please adapt this philosophy, at least for the first couple of years, that this is not going to reflect on the performance of any individual. If you own the program, you've designed the program, you teach the program in an instructor-led environment, if it's negative, it's not going to reflect on you. It means that we've got to change some things. You see, we're only evaluating at this level if the program is designed to drive business value. If it is not, we want to make adjustments or change. So we're using these true false to get some points across here. That we want to make sure that we look at process improvement as a critical issue. How about number 4? We'll go with false there. There's a fear, and we hear it all the time. If I do one study, then my CEOs will require this for every study. But after they review a detailed ROI study, they see the resources required, they'll help you use it very selectively. Now, how about number 5? True. 5 to 10% is where we recommend. Number 6. We'll go with true. We're going to always do that. By definition, by standard. There's some standards around this methodology. They're listed in your material. You have a one-page summary of this process in your tool, in your handout, if you put it in front and back. But on page 9 is the guiding principles. These are standards. And if you look at number 5, it says you must always isolate the effects of your program. So if we're going to always do that, and our control group doesn't work, and some of the other methods doesn't work so well, we're going to use the estimates. Yes, it could be a rough estimate. We're going to adjust for the error, make it as credible as we can, but we're going to do that instead of doing nothing about that issue. Okay, let's go to the next one. What do you think? Number 7. False. No. You see, if you're going to go to 5% of your programs evaluated at this level, you want to make sure that you pick the right ones. And so we want to pick those programs that are very expensive, very strategic, solving maybe an operational problem, go to large audiences, and it looks like this could be evaluated at level 2, maybe level 3, and that's probably all we would need. Job-related software. How about number 8? False. By definition, if we cannot convert it credibly, then we're going to leave it as an intangible. That is an issue. Number 9. False. It's a simple ratio. We first encounter that in 4th grade mathematics. So that's where we see the ROI calculation. I know the 4th grade was a tough year. How about number 10? We didn't cover that, but what do you think? True. That's about where we see. That is, you can have the kind of profile that we recommend in our recommended evaluation at the different levels. You can have that kind of profile for about 3 to 5% of your total L&D budget. Number 11, false. You can do forecasting. That's a huge issue. There's a huge opportunity these days to do pre-programmed forecasting, for example. How about number 12? False. That's probably the dominant application. Not because it's easier, but because that's where the questions lie. We find probably the number 1 area is leadership development. Number 1 for ROI studies in the soft skill area. Number 13. You're false, but I'll go with true on that. But let me give you the explanation. Now, you need the full context here. We have developed a program in our corporate setting. We offer it for our field, our divisions to use. And they come to the program, they're involved in the program, and it doesn't quite drive the results. It just doesn't drive the results enough to produce a positive ROI. We do a study to see what happened. Well, the client who's in your field, the person who purchased that, the person who's funding that, supporting that, they know it didn't drive the results because it's their data. So that client is often not surprised to see the negative ROI, although we may be surprised. We make that point because some people would say, if my program is not delivering a positive ROI, why should I develop a study to show them? And I'd say, well, if it's not delivering, they probably know it anyway. It'd be very refreshing coming from you instead of waiting for them to ask you about that. How about number 14? False. We want to start early. That's a huge issue there. Think about evaluation at the very beginning so we can drive those great objectives through the process. And number 15? True. We don't want it to be performance evaluation, at least not in the first few years. Otherwise, your team won't use it. They'll shut down and say, I'm not going to do that because my performance is on the line. So we look at process improvement. Number 16, false. So how did we do? Some of us are heading toward that thick book. We know some, probably the best reference would be this book called The Value of Learning. If you need to read a thick book, again, if it doesn't fit your budget, let us know. We can get that for you. Now, I would like to say this. When it comes to using technology, we must use that. And we saw that coming through our work with CEOs. And when it gets to scorecards and dashboards at the top of the organization, in our study, only 31% said they had such a scorecard. That's a great opportunity for us to show different types of data to that important group. And so what we want to do is send you a white paper that we're developing with Learn.com that shows you the executive input, what they want, what they need, and how it fits right into the dashboard process here. So we'll send that to you to show you what's possible at the scorecard for executive-friendly data to move beyond where we are in many of our settings. So we'll do that to you. If you need a copy of these results of this executive survey, let us know. If you need a case study,